For the past few years, I've consumed gazillions of self-help content to find the spark of motivation. If you search how to be productive online, you will see a flood of advice on being productive. And most have titles like, do this every day, or this routine will change your life, or even, I tried a billionaire morning routine where waking up at 5 a.m., taking a cold shower, journaling, meditating, drinking matcha. All of this sounds great, sounds like dreamy. We wish you could do that every day. We wish you had time for it. In fact, many of us try to replicate what others people are doing exactly. And we get frustrated with ourselves when it doesn't stick. And the reason why it doesn't stick is because it's not catered to you. And the truth is, when you're figuring out what your routine is, you need to think about yourself. I find when it comes to morning routine, it's more about finding out what actually works for you, not trying to fit into some impossible mold, And it emphasizes building sustainable habits over time, not overnight transformations. There's one line that really resonated with me was, how you set up your day is how it ends up. Even the small choices in those first few minutes can have a ripple effect. So it's not about just like cramming in a million tasks, but more about setting positive tone and sense of purpose. It's about those simple disciplines that create a momentum. And they don't necessarily need to be like these big and elaborate rituals. So today, I'm going to share 5 simple rules that can help you start your morning with more energy in a way that feels real and personal to your life. These are based on my words for me. They might not work for you, but I just want to hopefully inspire someone out there to figure out a way to make being productive and organized. Again, these are simple. These are extremely simple, extremely basic. You might be shocked by how simple they are, but I think it's worth reminding ourselves. So, here we go. Rule number 1. Going to bed early enough. I think this is self-explanatory. The longer you stay up at night, the more exhausted you'll be the next day. You can't expect to feel energized in the morning without a good chunk of sleep. To go to sleep early, we definitely need some discipline. Think about what time do you want to go to bed and set a time first. If you want to go to bed at 11 p.m., then I suggest you to finish every task before 10 p.m., whether it's a work or workout or even finishing dinner. I think dinner should be done before 7 p.m., ideally. I find the earlier the better when it comes to finishing dinner, so you can consider that. And once you finish all your tasks, take a warm shower and wind down by 10:30 at the latest. And obviously, it's crucial to stay away from our phone as much as you can. It's tough. I mean, it's really tough. It's a tough battle. Honestly, nothing beats bedtime doom scrolling, right? I hate to admit it, but it's true. I've thought about not bringing any devices into my bedroom, but I don't think it's a sustainable way because I need my alarm. I need my phone. So what I normally do is keep my laptop in the living room and only bring my phone into the bedroom to check my alarm is set properly, then put it down off the bed. I have 2 phones, by the way. I have 2 phones. I think I've already mentioned before. I got my 2 phones a few years ago. So basically, my main phone, the first one, has all the things I need on a daily basis, like texting, email, maps, and weather. I have all the social media apps on there, like YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram. I also have shopping apps on there as well. And the second phone is actually an old model. It's an iPhone 6s, so you can imagine it's definitely less functional when it comes to performance. And I don't install that many apps on it compared to my main one. I also keep it minimal and there are no social media apps for sure. So every night, I allow myself to only bring my second phone into the bedroom so I can, easily avoid doom scrolling. I don't think there's any specific solution to go to bed early. You just kind of have to do it. But one thing you should avoid at all costs is staying on your phone at bedtime, for sure. Rule number 2. Do not hit the snooze button. When the alarm rings, get your ass out of the bed. Ever find yourself hitting the snooze button again and again and again? You know the feeling of just wanting 5 more minutes even though you know you gotta get up? I mean, we all been there, right? It's like a universal struggle. This is actually one of my biggest guilty pleasures. You have no idea how many days I've fallen victim to it. I used to be a chronic snooze hitter for about a year or so. I don't know what's wrong with me or how I ended up there, but for some random freaking reason, I started hitting the snooze button every 5 minutes every single morning. I have no idea what's gotten into me. But yeah, I had a problem waking up when the alarm rang. There's something about the habit that has a huge negative impact on my mornings. I was feeling a wave of anxiety because I was running late for work. It made me feel better about myself and it just ruined my whole day. And I have to admit, I was definitely not in a good headspace. So I started trying to figure out the root cause of this issue because I had to get to the bottom of it, right? And my initial guess was that the reason I attempted to snooze was either because I was lazy or I just simply didn't get enough sleep the night before. But later, while I was digging into some sources to see if there's any science evidence behind it, I realized that there's actually a biological reason for the groggy feeling many of us experience in the morning, and it's called sleep inertia. Basically, our brains don't just instantly switch from sleep mode to awake mode. It's a process. And what's actually happening in our brain at the moment? Well, let's picture this. Imagine your brain is like a car, shifting gears, not just flipping a switch, right? We cycle through different sleep stages throughout the night, and when you wake up abruptly, especially from a deep sleep phase, it leaves us feeling foggy and disoriented. It's almost like a mental hangover, the sources put it, which I thought was the perfect way to describe it. Apparently, when you snooze and drift back into sleep, only to be jolted awake again, it creates a mini cortisol withdrawal. Cortisol is like one of the stress hormones, just so you know. So it's like a mini stress cycle we're putting ourselves through. And that actually reinforces the desire to stay asleep even longer. It's amazing how all of this is happening behind the scenes. And I think that brings us to the domino effect of hitting the snooze button. Because think about it. You hit snooze, you oversleep. Now you're late for work, you're feeling anxious. And that just sets the negative tone for the rest of the day. It's like a recipe for a stressful day, right? And you end up feeling behind before you even start. Okay, so now we know hitting snooze is bad. But how can you actually break the cycle? That's the highlight of it all, right? How do we break the cycle? What are the actionable steps we can take? Well, one thing that really stood out to me in this source is having a consistent sleep schedule, which goes back to the rule number 1 that I mentioned earlier, right? Going to bed and waking around the same time every day. This helps regulate our natural sleep-wake cycle, our circadian rhythm. And when our circadian rhythm is in sync, it's so much easier to wake up feeling refreshed, even without the snooze hitting button. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that understanding sleep inertia is a total game changer. Just so knowing that even those 5 extra minutes can disrupt our natural sleep patterns can be a powerful motivator. I also think when it comes to avoiding hitting the snooze button, creating a morning routine to look forward to can be really helpful. Having something enjoyable to anticipate, whether it's a, yummy breakfast or listening to your favorite music or a podcast, can give you a reason to get out of bed right away. Or if you need something more forceful due to lack of discipline, you can even move your alarm away from the bed. Place your phone across the room. This forces you to physically get out of bed to turn it off, making it harder to hit snooze and go back to sleep. Well, this might make you irritable at first. I mean, it's definitely going to make you irritable. Very irritable. But it's definitely something to consider if you want a more powerful solution. So, rule number 2, when the alarm rings, do not hit the snooze button and get your ass out of bed. Rule number 3 is all about movement. Move your body, which seems like a no-brainer for an energized morning, right? But I'm not here to talk about like an intense HIIT workout. Even just a few minutes of focused activity, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's downing a big glass of water to fill up on hydration, going to the bathroom to wash your face, doing a quick stretch, or just open the window to get some fresh air. It's all about finding what works for you, and it can prime your brain for the entire day. But one thing that I like to emphasize is kicking things off phone-free. I even have a name for it. It's called the secret hour. So basically, no scrolling, no text, no emails, nothing for a whole hour after you wake up. Kinda intense, right? It does sound like a challenge at first, but think about it this way. Our brains are most plastic in the morning, meaning they are super adaptable and ready to form habits. So when we start our day glued to our phones, we are basically hardwiring our brains for distraction. We are immediately putting ourselves in a reactive mode instead of a proactive one. I actually set up rules when it comes to phone usage in the morning, and I think I'm gonna tap into that for a second. On weekdays, I don't allow myself to check my phone until I'm out of the house, even on my commute for that matter. I don't scroll on my phone. I just plug in my earphones the second that I get on the bus and listen to a podcast or music. So I basically don't stay on my phone from the time that I wake up and on my way to work. On weekends, I don't allow myself to check my phone until I finish my breakfast, which takes about an hour, and I do other things besides having breakfast. So the first thing I do when I wake up, get right out of bed and rehydrate it. Then I jump into a quick stretch. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of meditation. I mean, meditation is awesome in a lot of ways, but for some reason, it just makes me sleepy. I don't know why. It honestly doesn't work right for me. Well, maybe I'll eventually come around, but not now. So I'd rather choose something more active. The reason I am so rigid about it is because I truly believe that how you start your day really makes a difference and sets the tone for the rest of it. If I start my day by going on my phone, my day is ruined. So every morning, I've been really trying to do pretty much anything but be on my phone. Let's move on to rule number 4, which is about fueling up with a nutritious breakfast. Okay, so real talk for a second. How many of us have stumbled out of the bed, barely able to make coffee, let alone put together like a healthy Instagrammable breakfast? I feel the struggle is real. The morning is the most hectic time of the day. We're on the go, right? Like we have to leave soon. We have to leave for work, we have to leave for school, and a lot of times, because of the rush we're usually in, we don't tend to experiment with our breakfast that much. We all have a kind of tendency to see breakfast as a quote-unquote the most boring meal, We think it's less important than lunch or dinner, right? Like I even have someone in my office who skips breakfast all the time, but for me, brekkie is important. I'm a huge breakfast person. I truly believe that what we consume in the morning plays a huge role in our energy levels for the rest of the day. That's why I kind of like to emphasize the importance of breakfast, even though most of us are like, I don't have time. Having breakfast isn't just about like not being hungry. It's about how what you eat in the morning actually affects your whole day. Also, it's just not about physical energy. It's mental energy too. The breakfast helps with focus and concentration, even weight management for the matter. So I gotta say, if your body can handle, I highly encourage you to eat breakfast. I've already mentioned my typical breakfast and how important it is on the podcast. If you listen to my weekends routine episode, I share some of the typical breakfast meals that I eat daily. But there have been slight transitions lately, and I'm going to update you guys. Recently, I really got into the idea of pre-made breakfast. Imagine you wake up, no stress, breakfast is ready to go. That's just like next level efficiency right there. You can just quickly grab something nutritious without, having to cook or assemble a meal, which is especially beneficial for those who may be short on time. I've actually tried it many times before. I've tried to implement this habit, but for some reason it didn't stick with me, and now I'm sort of back to the routine again. So these days, I'm in my overnight oats phase. I've been making overnight oats every single day. My personal recipe is a half cup of rolled oats, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, which is totally optional, a half cup of non-dairy milk, a quarter cup of green yogurt, and then I add some blueberries and granola on top. I mean, the beauty of this recipe is it is so customizable. You can literally make it your own, like the blueberries or granola or banana, like too many options. So give it a try if you haven't. It would definitely save you a lot of trouble in the morning. You can customize it based on your style. It is nutritious, delicious. Overnight oats is everything. Rule number 5. Make your bed always, all the time. Actually, a lot of people suggest that you should make your bed first thing in the morning. Now, I do agree with it. I think there's something about making the bed that has a lot of benefits, such as boosting productivity, keeping you from coming back into the bed in the middle of the day, and just overall making you feel good when you enter a well-made bed at the end of the day. However, I do the opposite. In fact, I unmake my bed and make it right before I leave the house. The reason I do this is because studies have shown that it's more hygienic to let your bed air out for at least 30 minutes in the morning because, believe it or not, we all sweat and shed dead skin cells during our sleep, even if you can see it or feel it visibly. So basically what I do is I wake up, get out of the bed, unmake it, and let the sheets air out while I'm getting ready. And about 40 to 50 minutes later, I come back into the bedroom, make the bed, and head out of the house. One thing that I really want to highlight this thing is that making the bed is a habit about completing something. Isn't it awesome to think that you start your day by checking a box, that you make your bed because you know it's a way to finish something? When you make your bed in the morning, you can check a box. You can start your day with already completing something. There's another reason I do this. Making your bed is a way to give the future a gift. Later on, you're gonna walk into this bedroom. And isn't it awesome to walk back into this bedroom tonight? And there is a beautifully made bed waiting for you. A beautifully organized place for you to lay down tonight. It's also a gift because when you walk back into your bedroom, you've already taken care of it. There's nothing to do. There's no mess that's been left for you to clean up. It actually took me a while to implement this habit. I mean, it's a small habit, right? It's a small habit that you can easily adopt at any given moment. But ironically, for me, it wasn't as easy as it sounds. It actually requires a lot of practice and discipline because it seems quite inconsequential. You know what I mean? We kind of have a tendency to minimize the importance of making bed because it seems too small, too basic. But I consider this arguably one of the most important habits that help us build consistency. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you found value in it. If you did, tune into more Love Being Alone podcast. New episodes every Thursday and new English episodes every month. Stream anywhere you get podcasts. You can check out Love Being Alone Instagram at Love Being Alone by Lynn. And you can check out me on Instagram at YEXLINX. That's all I have. Thank you for listening and hanging out with me. It's a pleasure. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.